Come on, come all. Everybody come join us in this live podcast we're going today. I'm feeling pretty groovy. We are here in El Paso, Texas, coming to you as hot as the Sun City. We are Sun City Leatherheads podcast. I am JD Cercelli. That's Danny Ramirez. Danny, how are we feeling today?
What's up, Jay? I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I was counting down until live. This is our first episode going live, episode 4. So I'm ready.
Me too, man. Can't wait to be talking football with you as always, and then also, doing this simulated mock draft that we're going to do today. It's going to be pretty exciting because I don't know about you, but I'm a fan of fantasy football, and this kind of brings back that nostalgia from selecting your players. So I'm excited to be doing this with you and see how it all kind of works out and plays out here with the first round.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk to you. Obviously, like I love my biggest things were always the draft, right? I'm like, man, I can pinpoint like where people may go, and then the surprises and stuff like that. There's so many, like even just the free agency, right? Free agency has been crazy, so a lot of
Mhm.
this has added up all the way to the draft. This is our mock 1.0, so obviously it's fluid, like Stephen A. always says, and like it'll change throughout, I'm sure, all the way up until April 25th, which is the Thursday, the day before my birthday. So, it's just exciting times. And obviously I love watching the draft. It's so weird, right? Like we anticipate something so like it's technically simple to an organization because they've done it, from day one. But to us, it's like, oh my God, like a new jersey, and a new exciting person to get, involved with. Like, may he, uh, number 55, Leighton Vander from my Dallas Cowboys just retired because of his neck injuries. But like, obviously in his draft class, I told you I wanted Dallas to draft him because of his open field tackling. Obviously, you can never know what your body and injuries. It happens at times to some good players. Obviously, we have David Rodriguez. What is going on, sir? How we doing? He says, "What up, Danny? Ooh, I
What's
can't
up, Jay?
wait."
Hey, thanks
Oh
for
man,
tuning in, man.
it's exciting times, and don't mind the glasses, folks. This is our first episode live. My blind self has to see what's happening because we got notes, and we're talking about the NFL draft, so I got to make sure I'm seeing what I'm doing. I don't want to look like Ray Charles and Jerry Jones at the NFL free agency market. Um, Cowboys fans, I'm there with you. Obviously, Jerry Jones with that, the time change. He thought free agency started next week, so just give him time. It's been pretty rough. But yeah,
He's
I'm
getting
excited.
he's
NFL
giving
draft.
everyone a head start, man.
Yeah, yeah. He thinks that we've won the last 10 years, even though we haven't been to the championship for 30. But give him time, folks. But yeah, I'm super stoked. So Danny, this is how we're gonna do a little run through of the NFL mock draft 1.0. You're gonna do the odds. I'm gonna do the even though I'm the odd one. But you're definitely gonna do the odds, odd numbers. So yeah. So going back to the free agency, right? Like so many crazy things has happened, and now Russell Wilson and Justin Fields goes to Pittsburgh. So like that's a massive shakeup, right? To like especially the AFC North, the quarterback controversy, or are they going to be patient with Pickett? Well, obviously not, because they have two quarterbacks that are going to go in there and just try to compete. Obviously, Russ is going to be the number one guy for about a year, maybe two, but what he can teach Justin Fields, and then that old Pittsburgh way. Like I think it's a beautiful, beautiful destination for both, to be honest. One and is ending in his career, maybe a one, or maybe this year. Pittsburgh may strike some lightning, and see what they do. So most people don't remember that Kurt Warner was with the Giants for a short period of time, and then he had an injury, and then Eli took over, and what if that's Russell Wilson? Did a great job in Seattle. It didn't work out in Denver, but who knows if he strikes lightning like Kurt Warner did it with Arizona. They even made it to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
imagine if Russell Wilson does the same thing, going back to Justin Fields. We now know that he is definitely not the future of the Chicago Bears. So Danny, round one, the Bears are on the clock. What's going on with them?
Let me see. Let's get this started here. You talking about Fields, that was a bittersweet moment for me just because, he was my favorite player. And so
Right.
it
As
was
you are a
tough to,
Bears fan, for the people that don't know.
as you can see behind me, right? The helmet.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, no, that was just very tough to see that happen because here I thought, he was going to be our future, our franchise quarterback, really.
Right.
And it didn't happen, it never amounted to it, right? And there's a lot of conversations going back and forth between Bears fans, as we want to call it on X, right? A civil war between us, right? The Fields lovers and the Caleb lovers going up against each other. And yes, there
Right.
is some truth to both sides, right? Yes, Fields could have had more help around him. We could have built better, but going into year 3 this past year, he had some support in terms of weapons, right? And he really didn't maximize his opportunity there. Yes, you can blame the O line and
Right.
all that,
Yes.
but I really do think now with him with the Steelers, I think it's going to be it's going to be good for both sides, right? Russell Wilson's going to be able to start there. I don't think he's going to be the starter for the whole year, but there's going to be a time where Justin Field, I'm sure Tomlin's going to use him kind of like Taysom Hill, where he comes in and uses his legs to get a big play out of him, and eventually, I think that he'll be a starter for
Right.
the Steelers. But
Yeah. I
going
honestly,
to
like, obviously,
go for it.
yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
No, no, I was done.
No,
Go
no,
for it.
sorry about that. Go ahead. My apologies. But yeah, I'm excited. As a Cowboys fan, it hurts for me to say, but as an overall NFL perspective, the Steelers, the Patriots, the Cowboys, when they're relevant, obviously the NFL is like glowing, right? Like they're popular names, they're wealthy, blah blah blah. They're flashy. So Pittsburgh this year is going to be even maybe it doesn't work, but that's what they're trying to do, and all out, like, man, let's just see what we can make happen. So they're still going to be talked about. They're back in you're back in the fold, especially in that division, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, going back to Justin Fields, like I think it was a perfect opportunity for him to learn, grow. I mean, look at several successful quarterbacks in the past 15 years. They sat several years and then they end up going on winning Super Bowl, right? So Eli with, like I said, Kurt Warner, like it's who's QB1. Then Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. Then Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre. So, you get that veterancy, and then with someone that you think can be your potential future and like even longer, right? Like they don't
Yeah.
if you trade for Justin Fields and they got him for highway
6.
robbery, all these
Yeah.
quarterbacks that went in free agency, the Chicago Bears waited too long to get capital for him. Like it was just highway robbery. So David Rodriguez, Jaden Daniels, my hope for one. Oh, we'll get there, sir. But I'll be there with you. I'm doing the evens, and I honestly I agree. So we'll see. So number 1 overall pick, Danny. The Chicago Bears are on the clock. David is trying to say, hey, let's get the Commanders rolling. So let's
Right.
see. Let's go Chicago Bears. Who are we going with?
Of course, it's an easy one, right? It's going to be Caleb Williams for sure. I just think that it makes the most sense out of all the quarterbacks, right? Why not go for the so-called generational talent on the board here? And so you're getting, I guess you're losing hope on Justin Fields, and you're hoping that Caleb Williams will be that prolific passer that you're looking for, right? That he couldn't be. So I think Caleb
Right.
Williams is the pick here. I don't see. I mean, the Bears have surprised me on draft day plenty of times. 2017 Mitch Trubisky. But
Ditch Mitch.
but right, but no, I do think that they know who they're going with here, and I think since Ryan Poles was a part of the Patrick Mahomes draft selection, right? I think he knows truly what he's looking for at quarterback. So this is going to be an easy one for me. I'm going to go with Caleb Williams for the Bears.
I totally agree. I concur. They're not going to do anything weird and surprising. Pick number 9 or pick number number 9,
Two,
right? So
yeah,
they might reach there. They might they might be like surprise people there. But number 1 for sure. Like we're going QB Caleb Williams off the market. So folks, obviously this is a mock draft, right? So we're doing it live by live. So if Danny picks Caleb Williams at Chicago, he is off the board. So if I think he is a match for another team, oh well. Like that's how it goes, right? That's how the draft is. You try to take the next best thing for yourself and then try to steal it from somebody else. So Caleb Williams, yeah, I totally agree. They're gonna go Caleb. He is, like you said, he's a bit of a stretch. Like, Justin Fields coming from Ohio State, how he played. Caleb is a little less of a runner, but he does the same thing. He's like a improvisationalist, and like he likes to be a little flashy. USC obviously doesn't have a good defense. The Bears defense a little, I think, way better than what can help Caleb Williams. Some veterans, obviously DJ Moore, Cole Kmet there. Is going to help a young Caleb Williams. I think the reason why Caleb goes number one is because he has a nice deep ball. And one thing that you love out of a DJ Moore, you're like, man, if push comes to shove, we need a spark, like just haul down, and then I'm just gonna throw it in the air, and we're gonna make magic happen, right? So I think that those two are gonna, like, Caleb Williams does have a nice deep throw, so I'm excited for that for the Bears. And on the clock, we have the Washington Commanders. So the Commanders been hot, right? They're definitely progressing in the NFC East, and they definitely did more than the Cowboys. They definitely did more than Giants, that's for sure. So from what standpoint of like needs and the new coaching staff, I'm pretty sure new general manager, like everything is just like a whole new, and they're trying to get that car going. And then I believe they're building a new stadium, I think, which would be ready in like a few years or something. But so you get
all coming together,
huh?
It's all coming together for them.
Yeah, I like, as a Cowboy fan, you're like, damn. But as an overall NFL perspective, like the Washington Redskins, now Commanders, which obviously I refer to them, back in the old days, but they have a lot of rich history, right? Where they're from. They had like great quarterbacks. They were the first quarterback Super Bowl winning team to have a black quarterback. So I mean, there's stuff that has a lot of history with the Washington, right? So you go ahead and get an Austin Eckler, you get a Zach Ertz, Marcus Mariota, which is not flashy, but you get a Tyler Badiash from your division rival who's always beating you. You get a Dorrance Armstrong from a division rival. Dan Quinn's bringing his type of guys, his type of mentality, which I like. And then you add these pieces, and then you need a quarterback round. That's quarterback is the most important position of any sport, right? So you go ahead and like get a Jaden Daniels from LSU who knows Cliff Kingsbury, who has time with him, and I think that's a match made in heaven waiting to happen. Jaden Daniels to number 2, the Washington Commanders, is off the clock for sure to me. He is
making David happy.
He's another fascinating piece, right? Because he wins the Heisman, and like, can he match that in the NFL? Like, sometimes it's a lot harder. Like, how many Alabama quarterbacks in the last 20 years are not even playing in the NFL now because they were so spoiled at an SEC team, So let's see if he's able to, take that next step and that major leap. Because previous episodes I told you, like Drake May and even Sam Howell previous at North Carolina, they play in a professional system to begin with, so they're already used to that style. So there's a lot of teams like a Caleb Williams, a Jaden Daniels that have to like adapt. A Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, they have to adapt to going into a pro style instead of like option left, right. Let me try to improvise. So does he take that next step? But I think the Commanders, Jaden Daniels makes too much sense. And he comes off the board, so it's quarterback 1 and 2, which is obviously no surprise to many people. But yeah, I'm excited to see, like, obviously in division rivalry, me being a Cowboy fan, you always want to beat down Washington, but like Washington honestly has needed to make steps to, like, because I mean, Dak Prescott can't beat the 49ers or win 2 playoff games, but then he can go in with 2 broken legs and still beat the Commanders. So it's like, come on, guys, like like, where's that rivalry where it used to be? So yeah, nothing surprising. Washington can trade. You are correct. But I don't think they're going to trade. I don't think they're going to trade Chase Young. That was, the Saints picking him up. Obviously they love players that take days off, right? So like, we're the Saints, let's go party a bit because we take days off too. So that was a bit of a free agency stretch to me. Chase Young to the New Orleans Saints. But yeah, number 2, I think I don't think they trade out, like, especially new coach. Like we gotta hit the ground running. New GM.
They want their franchise. They want their
franchise. Like you can't just like come in weak when you first start. Like maybe next year, like the Texans did, right? Like they already got what they wanted, and then they got free agency, so they already traded away. We're going to talk about that later. They traded away their draft picks this round, right? So they already know where they're going. So yeah, they definitely.
Let me ask you a question, Jay. So let's say that Jaden Daniels did not win the Heisman this past year. Do you think he would be considered a top 2 pick?
I believe he would have not been, because LSU has been, ever since the Joe Burrow, that perfect season, that perfect team. I mean, that team was just hands down one of the best by far any college team ever, right? So you go through that, and it there's always a quarterback, especially in the college world, like their senior year, like they come out of nowhere, right? Like, everyone knew about Caleb. He was the most unsought, like he went from Oklahoma to the USC. Bo Nix, who's been a journeyman, so people know him from Auburn to Oregon. And Jalen Daniels, like, boom, he strikes lightning in his 2023 campaign at LSU. Obviously, the team over around him is not as exquisite as that amazing team that won the championship a few years back. But that's what you need from a Heisman winner, right? Like, you need someone to elevate your team, to make them better. And like for several games, he was the guy. Like, he made them better. He improved them, and he's just like, man, without me, like, we're not winning, So,
Yeah.
with you being saying that, yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think, if he doesn't win the Heisman, he probably drops to like maybe 15 or below, right? By draft prospects. But yeah, he moves up his stock, which is okay, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? You're trying to get people excited for yourself. So Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels off of the mark. Now, Danny, we got pick number 3, the New England Patriots. How crazy, right? Like, several years of the Patriots picking top 10, and back then they used to pick 32, 32, 32. Or they would trade them away because they wouldn't even care. Like, we got Tom Brady, we got Bill Belichick, we don't even care. So, New England Patriots at number 3, where are they going?
I think a lot of people have them projected to trade out. I don't see that, just because now that they got rid of Mac Jones, right? They got rid of Mac Jones. They signed Jacoby Brissett, and I mean, he could probably be a serviceable quarterback to start the year. But if you're talking about consistent or success for the whole season, I just think that they need to go with the rookie, right? And if you're top 3, if you're picking top 3, you need to be able to go with another generational prospect, right? I know Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams are all considered some sort of generational talent just because of the way that they play, right? You're talking about Drake May, 6'5", right? You don't get that size normally. He also played a lot of snaps at UNC. So I just feel like, if you think about it, right, New England, and this was, again, Bill Belichick days, they always like those pocket passers. And I think, still being owned by Robert Kraft, I think he really values that in a quarterback. And I think, Drake May just makes a lot of sense there, right? You have the size, you have the strength. If you look, usually I spend this time just watching a ton of highlight reels, right, from all the top prospects. And I watched Drake Mays, and I was left impressed just because North Carolina, they don't typically have the most, talent around them.
Right. They're not a Alabama. They're not a Georgia, right? So it's harder for them to bring people. And
Yeah,
yeah, and going back to that pro style, like I mentioned earlier, like he's already done pro style. So he's already ahead by mindset on a playbook than several other quarterbacks.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think he had a good coach in I'm trying to blank on his name.
Mac Brown.
Mac Brown. Yep. Thank you. So Mac Brown is similar, right? He's an old school coach. And I
Yeah, I
think that he
love
really,
Mac Brown. I love Mac
yeah,
Brown. And like the fact that he's rejuvenated his career after, that long period of retirement, and like, it's such a great story, right? Like, and he won the championship in our Texas Texas team. So, woohoo. But I agree. Jake May makes too much sense. So quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, which I totally agree with you. Drake May, pro style. And plus, like, we're going back to the Commander thing, right? Like, new coach, new era, new blood. Like, you just can't give away a number 3 pick to me. Like, just doesn't make sense. Like, you got to hit the ground running, and then you build around him. And plus, you bring back Hunter Henry, you bring back Kendrick Bourne that you liked, and you don't do that if you're not going to draft a quarterback early, right? Like, you do that if you don't have a piece that you're going to try to build and mold around with these other good pieces. So yeah, Brissett, like kind of like with Russell Wilson, maybe Brissett does start week 1, but it's got that veterancy, and then May will learn a little bit. But yeah, I think Drake May to the New England Patriots makes too much sense, and I
Yeah.
totally agree with you.
You don't have to push him to start right away, right? He can learn the playbook. He can kind of get his feet wet. And then as his time comes, he's going to be able to go in there and actually be productive, kind of like Will Levis did this past year, right? For the Titans. I think that
Right.
was a perfect start, the perfect outing for him. He broke out.
Yeah, and they had a team that was kind of like this because the old GM, the old regime, like I blame the old general manager for sure, because Mike Vrabel had hands down a good stud, a good head coach, and now he's with the Browns as a consultant. Like, so it shows his knowledge of the game, right? And then you lose a Derrick Henry because he's so tired and frustrated of like being the same in the same loop. Like, why are we trading our best players away and blah blah blah. So yeah,
Yep.
same thing with the Patriots. Like, you start young and then hit the ground running with them. Like Will Levis, now they bring pieces to help him, right? Like, they got Calvin Ridley,
Calvin Ridley.
Tony Pollard. Like, they brought in pieces to help him. And the same thing with Drake May going to the New England Patriots. Like, he's already got good pieces around him. They have a good foundation. It's just Mac Jones and the Patriots marriage didn't work out. Like, that's
Yep.
2024, right? Like, how many relationships have been within a month at this point? So, yeah. So, like, I think Drake May to the Patriots is perfect. And now we got pick number 4, right? The Arizona Cardinals. Woo!
Yep.
So
Number 4.
obviously, Justin Jones, defensive lineman, Mac Wilson, Jonah Williams. That's their notable signings. They're hopefully a Murray comes back. They believe he'll come back better, and you got to give him pieces. Well, one of their biggest needs is wide receiver. So honestly, let's go. Why would we not get the number 1 overall prospect in the draft? Obviously, there's quarterbacks that people love, but like the number 1 overall prospect in pretty much everyone's draft is who? Marvin Harrison Jr. 1, the dude's a stud. 2, his name, and hopefully he lives up to that name, because maybe his dad will push him. But yeah, Marvin Harrison Sr. But yeah, Marvin Harrison to the Arizona Cardinals to go with Kyler Murray. And they had a young tight end last year who was doing really good too. I forget his name. But yeah, you just add to those pieces, right? And then
Yep.
you
Trey
can't keep
McBride,
losing respect.
right?
Excuse me?
You're referring to Trey McBride, the tight end?
Yeah, like that dude had some few games
broke
that
out.
were just amazing. Yeah, definitely. He was amazing. And then the running back, he's no slouch. He came from Pittsburgh, now there, especially when he's healthy, and you got to keep Murray upright. So what do? You need to get a young, fresh receiver that he can throw that bomb to. And Marvin Harrison, obviously the name, the flash, the high expectations to go into Arizona, which is a lot of people like the stadium and all that jazz for some reason. So it fits. It's a good running wide receiver stadium for sure. So
yeah, I think this pick could be like equivalent to like a Larry Fitzgerald type of pickup, right? Where
yes,
they
like
got him early.
You have like the Cardinals have they're so weird, right? So they're like, man, we built a good team and then injuries happen, or we built a good team and it just doesn't fluctuate like how they should. And you have to go high at this point, like reach at this point, because like Kyler Murray's like the same thing with Dak Prescott and even Kirk Cousins last year, or to free agency. Like, how long is Murray going to be there? Like, what if things don't work out either with him? You're trying to reach now just so you can help him or help the team by any means. So yeah, you definitely get a Marvin Harrison Jr. to help him out. Like that's you can't be trading away receivers like every year. Like, that's just not going to help you win. So
Yeah, I
then
don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw today that today was Ohio State's pro day, and he didn't
Right.
even do anything.
He didn't even show up.
No, he decided not to participate because I guess what he was saying is that he's going to start to train at Ohio State. He's training for the season. He's not training for draft day. So I wonder, I mean, he's a hardworking guy, right? So I know that he means business when it comes to training and all that.
Right.
I just wonder if this decision not to, showcase his talent in front of scouts, in front of general managers, head
does
coaches.
it hurt his draft stock, or does it hurt his commitment to I agree. it always hurts somewhat, right? Maybe he does fall a little bit, and then they go from the kid from Washington, maybe, or and but yeah. So
He,
I let's say hypothetically, like they don't care that he missed it. Like I think they're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. just because like they
I
need
agree.
to reach, they need to reach fast.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't even if he did fall, right? If they didn't select him with the number 4 pick, I don't think he falls past 5. I
Yeah.
think, I mean,
Oh,
you get rid
definitely.
of Keenan Allen, right? You get rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So of course, if Marvin Harrison is on the board, they're gonna take him.
Right.
That would surprise me. But since we're talking about the Chargers, um, this
Yeah.
one is easy for me just because I mean they can go so many different ways, right? They're rebuilding the team with
Right.
in Jim Harbaugh's kind of vision. So for me, I think that Malik Neighbors is, Marvin Harrison is one. Malik Neighbors is probably 2A, 2B, right, with Roma Dunze. So I think that, I don't know, I just feel like Malik Neighbors is a little bit a better playmaker than Odunze right now. So
Okay.
I think that they're going to go with Malik Neighbors at that pick. And, before this past week, right, with free agency, I thought that tight end was probably going to be their pick. I thought they were
Yeah,
probably going
I
to get
remember you
Brock
said that they're
Bowers.
going to go up Brock Powers for the Chargers. I was like, that would be good.
But now they signed 2 tight ends, so I don't think
Right.
that's going to happen.
Right.
So,
Yeah, you don't sign 2 tight ends just to draft a high tight end like that. Maybe
yeah,
later in the
makes no
draft
sense.
they will. Yeah. So I like Malik Neighbors. You can't go wrong, right? Because they got rid of like what 3 receivers and a tight end and all that jazz, and they're cleaning house on the offensive side. I still think they're gonna go defense, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I think the Chargers at pick 5 will be one of the first surprises, if anything. Like I think they'll because like you said, Harbaugh is Harbaugh, right? He wants to set the tone early. And who are the 2 people like Justin Herbert? He can work for NASA. Like he's just that cool, breezy dude. Like he'll put you up points. But who are the 2 people that you need to make happy from day one? That's Joe Bosa and Khalil Mack, right? So how do you keep them happy? Like obviously this is my take. I think they go get Dallas Clark from Alabama,
Dallas
or
Turner.
like Dallas Turner, yeah, Dallas Turner, or another linebacker that's another stud, round 1, in that pick, just to solidify that defense, that front 7. Maybe the defensive tackle from Michigan. He coached there, so he knows the team. But yeah, I think if there's a surprise early, it'll be the Chargers, and they'll get a defensive player just to keep Bosa and Mac happy and saying, "Look, we're going to be a physical onslaught of a defense, and this is where we start." You told me like what a week ago, and then previous episodes that the wide receiver draft stock this year is pretty stud, right? So like I
Yeah.
think they can suffer reaching this year than they will in previous years, and plus new regime, new coach. So I like Malik Neighbors, amazing pick. They do need a receiver, but I think if there is a surprise in the draft to begin the draft, it'll be the Chargers.
I mean, nothing surprises me on draft day, right? But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest question mark, just because Jim Harbaugh, you don't know what he's thinking, what he
Yeah,
wants to build first,
that
offense or
that's
defense.
why I think they'll be the first surprise, just because of that. Because
Yeah,
Harbaugh's like, well, like 31 franchises and all these like media people think we're going this way. He's like, I'm damn Harbaugh. Let me show them who I am. Like he's that type of person.
yeah.
So I mean, which I like, because that puts your organization in have an identity. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the Chargers. Like obviously Justin Herbert's my boy from Oregon, so him getting Harbaugh, I'm super stoked. So
That's
New York Giants, huh? Oof, division, man. I'm getting all the division rivals. Like my
yeah.
goodness.
It's funny the way that it worked out with
Yeah,
us.
I get the
You
Eagles
selecting.
too. Like woo.
Yeah, I have all the NFC North teams on my side. So
Yeah, that's wild. So yeah, that's crazy. So the New York Giants, they got Brian Burns from a trade. They got Drew Lock from quarterback and Devin Singletary running back. Right? They lose Saquon Barkley. People are thinking like they're gonna go quarterback, and I don't. Right now, you gotta wait till year 3 of Daniel Jones' contract. Right? I think they don't go quarterback 1. Um, Yeah, our boy Gabe said they also need offensive lineman. I agree. I think he's talking about the Chargers. So
Yeah, they do need it.
I believe if you're gonna not if you're not gonna get a quarterback, which I don't think they are. You signed one in free agency, and then you have one already signed. You next year, if he falls flat on his face, then yeah, you have to like move on. Or maybe you have to figure out a contract restructurement. So I think since Marvin Harrison Jr. is gone and Malik's gone, then we go to Washington, Romeo Odunze, wide receiver to help because that wide receiver core in Buffalo or in New York, I'm thinking of Buffalo because of Brian Daboll. Like you look at the receivers he had in Buffalo compared to the ones he's had in New York. Like what are they doing? Like how are you going to
Yeah.
help your quarterback if you ain't got a receiver that can't even go over 500 yards? So I think they go from Washington Odunze wide receiver to the New York Giants to help solidify that offense and maybe help Daniel Jones that hey we're gonna see what because you don't sign Drew Lock and have Daniel Jones to draft another quarterback like you wouldn't have signed Drew Lock to begin with, and you would have already tried to shop Daniel Jones like they did Fields, which like obviously you lost capital because you waited so long. So the Giants waiting long also they lost a lot of capital. So why are you going to do it now? So I think they get a Dunze pick 6 wide receiver to help that offense really like the entire offense.
I just want to
Yeah,
share. Bears fans hate you right now for that selection.
is that what they said?
Yeah, I speak for all Bears fans right now.
Yeah, but it makes sense to me because you got a Devin Singletary, right? You already took someone from the old Bear regime, and then um, you need someone to help Darren Waller. If you
Mhm.
paid for the kitchen sink for a tight end last year, you got to throw him the damn ball. But if he's getting double, triple team because your wide receivers are garbage, like what are you gonna do? So I think you get a Dunze pick 6, and like I said, this is the real draft, right? So like I just took something that you guys wanted, or so or maybe like the Falcons wanted, to go on to that Kirk Cousins regime. So I think the
Yeah.
Giants need to reach because this is Daniel Jones, like make it or break it here. Like if he doesn't like you don't have to get to the championship game because you had an injury last year. You made the playoffs your first year with Brian Daboll. Like at least be relevant, right? Like you have the Eagles and the Cowboys that are like just pounding on you over and over and over. Like be 1-1 against both teams or like be competitive. Then they'll be like, okay, maybe this is the guy. We just need to draft better for him. So yeah, Romy Odunze at 6 for sure to the New York Giants.
All right, that's a good one. That you threw a curveball at me. I didn't expect that one, but with the Titans, right? Titans have been pretty active. You just mentioned it earlier that they signed Calvin Ridley. They've signed a couple of offensive linemen to support Will Levis. So I think they continue that trend with making the offensive line a priority for them. And I think who better than to start with Joe Alt, right? You drafted Peter Skoronski last year to solidify the left side, and now you pair him
Right.
with Joe Alt to really cover Will Levis's blind side. So I just think that makes
Woo!
all the sense in the world for the Titans right now.
And honestly, Will Levis, I mean, that dude's jacked, right? Like he's got good cannon. So you got Kevin
Yeah.
Ridley, you got Hopkins, and if you give him time, like to throw, like you said, like you draft last year, you draft this year to make sure that and that's what man, that was like when Romo, his older years, which I wish he would have had when he was younger and a better defense, obviously a way better team. But like, yeah, like that old line of his last year, like they had Frederick Martin, a healthy Smith, like that old line gave him like 10 seconds almost to throw the damn ball. And like you have a Tony Romo to like eat you up, like it'll eat you alive. But then going
Yeah.
back to your point, you draft those two. Will Levis is year 2. You got a Tony Pollard coming, a Calvin Ridley coming. You have Hopkins, and in your second year together, and then yeah, you're building an identity up front, right? And then Tony Pollard, yeah, like I mean, before his injury, and then like a little at the end of last year when he started getting his traction again, he was one of those running backs that still had the most scrimmage yards before getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like you just add on by what is it, subtraction by addition, right? You lose Henry, but you gain like 3-4 pieces without him. Like, it sucks for him because he waited so long for that. But that was the old regime. The new regime, like, hey, we're gonna new coach staff, new GM, like we're gonna hit the ground running. And Joe Alt along with another offensive lineman, that sounds amazing, to be honest. Especially with
Yeah.
yeah, like I think that's tough. Heck yeah.
So who do you got with Atlanta at 8?
Woo. Well, we already took that receiver you wanted, so
Yeah. Well,
so
they don't need more receivers. They actually spent a lot of money on receivers this offseason.
oh yeah,
So
like they're hyping that offense because of Kirk Cousins, which I agree. Like I'm with them. Like you gotta, if you sign him that much, you gotta get him pieces. You know, like you can't just
yeah.
leave him out to dry. And that's what I didn't understand with, like, besides Justin Jefferson, or like, you know, like even when he was with Washington, like they let him to dry. So Atlanta on the clock, right? Woo, let's see.
Mhm.
Falcons need an edge rusher, cornerback, offensive tackle. All right. So like I said, the Chargers might be the first surprise of the draft. But if they're not and they go to receiver like you thought, then why not get Dallas Turner, the edge from Alabama, to go to that defense that's already nasty, and they already have a good defense, and then plus the offense. Now you got your Cousins that's going to be able to score you points. Like, how many games the last several years were the Falcons in? Like, they were in so many games, but then they would lose 3 points, by 4 points, by 5 points. Now you get a quarterback and a new regime that can score damn points. So like you're like, all right, cool. If we can score, and then we want someone like an Aaron Donald or someone that'll go off the edge that'll end the game for us. Like, hey, Kirk Cousins just scored a damn touchdown for us. Go in the game for us, Dallas Turner. Boom, Alabama, Dallas Turner to the
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons.
I like that one just because I'm sure the Falcons scouts, right? That's a player in their backyard playing it up in Alabama.
Right.
And I'm sure they have a lot of tape on him. He's a speed rusher. He's strong. I like that pickup for the Falcons. And they don't
Yeah,
have a
and like
true edge.
honestly, like his name and his moxie comes from Alabama, and then plus the uniforms in Atlanta, and like the moxie that they're building. I've always been like a low key, like a person that enjoys the Falcons, right? Like the uniforms, like they're just like that team that you never really want to, unless you're in their division, you don't root against them, right? So like it's kind of cool to see them, like, you know, reaching finally and taking chances. Like they haven't done it for basically since the Matt Ryan regime, when he was like year 3 or year 2, when they started, you know, like adding those pieces. So yeah, it's been a long time for the Falcons region. So yeah. Darnell Mooney, Randall Moore, Kirk Cousins, boom, you get Dallas Turner at pick number 8. Are you kidding me? We're taking him. So
It's a
yeah.
good offseason.
Yeah,
For
for
sure.
sure. Oh, number 9. Gabe and you are mad at me already. So what are we gonna do? How are we gonna rebound?
Yeah.
Woo!
If the Bears were in this situation on draft day, I would say trade back. Trade back with the Denver Broncos, trade back with the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, and have them select that quarterback that they need, right? It could be JJ McCarthy or whoever. But because we don't have the trade feature on this. If they had to pick a player here, I would say they already lost their opportunity to get another weapon for Caleb Williams. So I would say that the next best thing is probably a edge rusher, just because they need that pressure, right? They're not going to be able to. Right now, it's just Montez Sweat that's the only one that's productive, right? So why not pair him with a Jared Verse, right? I like Jared Verse. I like Laiatu Latu. I think out of those,
Yeah, he's awesome too.
the only bad thing about him is that he has some medical questions, right? There's a lot of it's unclear whether he can continue playing at that kind of level, that kind of you know, I guess for the lack of a better word, right? That play style that he has, because he's aggressive as it is, right? He's a skinny guy, he's fast, but he's also powerful. And so if it's a neck injury, you got to be very careful with that, and you got to tread lightly when making such a selection, especially at 9. So in this case, right, based off of the past 2 years, the highlights that I've seen, Jared Verse is that type of edge rusher that is good against the run, and he's very powerful. He bull rushes, and that's something. If you if you complement Montez Sweat with another bull rush edge rusher on the other side, that pocket is going to collapse really quickly, right? And so I think that, if they were forced to make a selection here, I would go with Jared Verse. But in a perfect world, yeah, I would have them trade back and get more picks.
So Jared Verse going to the Bears.
Yep.
Woo, dude, this is fun. Like this, man, dude, I would give up my acting career for a while just to be a NFL GM for 1 year. Like I would like just not even focus on acting if I could just be like the worst team or whatever, just so I can like put everything on my shoulders and just build a franchise, build a roster. Like that would be the most exciting thing in my life. Like I would do better than Jerry Jones. That's for damn sure. Jesus.
I think anyone would do better than Jerry Jones at
Yeah.
this point.
Jeez.
All right, the Jets. What do you got?
Woohoo! All right, another big surprise. Here we go. So you already got, Tyron Smith from the Dallas Cowboys left tackle. He might even end up right tackle, but you signed someone to help Aaron Rodgers. Morgan Moses from a trade. You got another offensive lineman. Tyrod Taylor, which he's going to be the backup, whatever. So he said, "Damn it, Justin." Gabe is pissed. Sorry, Gabe. I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel. Like, if I'm the Giants, I'm taking that. Like, I'm just saying. So, the New York Jets at number 10 take Greg Bowers, tight end from Georgia, to help Garrett Wilson and that offense with Aaron Rodgers coming back from the torn ACL. How are you going to help him? You got a stud running back. You have a stud wide receiver. We need a damn stud tight end. Boom. Greg Bowers,
Perfect.
Georgia, to the New York Jets.
That makes a perfect sense. I like that selection.
But yeah, so that's going to be one of those surprises because a lot of people don't have him going to the Jets. But I think it'd be a perfect fit, especially this is Salah's year, right? Like this is the year, like, hey man, if we have a healthy Rodgers, like he's going to get fired if they don't even sniff the playoffs. So yep. I'm like, you go all in. How are you going to help that? How are you going to help that offense? You already have a solidified defense. You already brought pieces to protect him. Now you go get him a bad tight end, Greg Bowers from Georgia, to help solidify that offense. And like the receiver core, you're going to have a lot of them down the draft anyway. So, and Aaron Rodgers makes receivers better. Let's just put that let's just put that at rest. So, obviously I don't like him, as arrogance, but his playmaking ability, like you cannot deny. So, I'm super stoked. I think Greg Bowers to the Jets, tight end from Georgia, makes too much sense to not pass up if he's there.
If I was picking 10, like if we swapped, I would have picked Brock Bowers there. I think that just makes a lot of sense, right? Because as it is, right, Aaron Rodgers likes his tight ends. Like he's always used them. Right. And so if you have the potential if you have the potential to select one that's athletic as Brock Bowers, he's a fluid route runner. I mean, that's just another wide receiver, really, right in a tight end's body. So I really like that one. That's a really good pick for the Jets.
I wonder if Gabe's happy about that one.
Probably.
he didn't like the Odunze, but
yeah, no, Odunze's our guy. That's the guy that we really want. But it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's the draft, right? Like if someone takes your guy, you rebound and figure out who you're gonna get after.
Well, like think about it. Right now, it's just us making selections, no trades, right? But in real life, it's like teams can come up and get in front of you.
2 to 3 people to watch in the trade deadline for sure, or in the trade and draft. Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, and there's another receiver that I was thinking of. But like for those, like it's so weird to have Brandon Ayuk's name whispered. Oh, Stephon Diggs. So those 3 receivers are like there's whispers in the dark, right? Like, hey man, like we may not be able to pay him, or we may not want to pay him, or whatever. And unfortunately, Dallas Cowboys, we had to wait until draft day, but I honestly think Dallas is going to be one of the teams that's in the play of trying to trade for one of those receivers, to be honest. I'm like, you didn't restructure Dak's contract finally. I don't know how you didn't do it before free agency started. But, like, there's been players that have been restructuring and, like there's been whispers in the dark, like we're going to trade for a Hollywood stud. So one of those receivers makes too much sense to actually, like, if we're going to be this patient, we have to trade for a damn stud, during draft day. So
Yeah.
be on the lookout for that, people. Obviously, we're just doing it like if we're picking no matter what. But yeah, those three receivers, be on the lookout. It could be some surprises. I mean, who knows? It could be a Jets, like it could be a Chargers being there to like being ready to trade for someone that's a veteran that's been proven. So yeah, those three receivers, man, look out on draft day for sure. All right,
That's a
so we
good
got
point.
the Minnesota Vikings on the clock. Finally, Danny, we were talking about. I was always telling him like I love the stadium, I love them. Like they have the like they're a Viking. Like now they finally have an identity. They've had a sneaky good offseason, which we first thought were like, what are they doing? Releasing so many people, and then they get 2 draft picks. They're like trying to build an identity, which is awesome. So number 11, Minnesota Vikings. Who does your division rival picking, Danny?
I think this is an easy one for me. I think that they truly need a replacement for Kirk Cousins, right? And I just think that there's a lot of, I think this hype just came out of the combine, right? After the combine, JJ McCarthy got a lot of love from a lot of scouts, a lot of general
Right.
managers. So I think that JJ McCarthy makes a lot of sense, right? Because you already have Sam Darnold, right? Am I thinking that correctly? That's where he
Yes.
went. So Sam Darnold can be your starting quarterback. JJ McCarthy can take a similar approach to Drake May, right? In the sense that he's kind of just learning the playbook. And then when his time is called, he's going to be able to go in there and execute. So I just think that for the future, I think they go JJ McCarthy. He's a great leader, and I just think that that would be a good spot for him to go, especially if you have 2 stud wide receivers um, in Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. So I'm gonna go JJ McCarthy here.
JJ McCarthy. I like it. I think that I honestly think Minnesota, since they already are able to get 2 draft picks, that they're at least one of the picks is going to be a surprise, like either trade up, or trade down, or trade for a
Yeah.
player. I think they're still not done, to be honest. Like JJ McCarthy does sound pretty good to them, especially like you have an Aaron Jones, and what if like, hey man, like Aaron, this 1 year deal, we know we just got you for this 1 year deal, but what if we can extend? We got McCarthy waiting, to take the wheels of the car, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, JJ McCarthy to the Minnesota Vikings sounds great. Like, for them, and especially like you're already building an identity, right? We're like concerned about them first, but now like it looks like they know what they're doing. So yeah, like someone for the future is perfect, and he's cheaper. Like you look how many teams, like, well, of course your Bears and the top 3, 4, and then now the Broncos and Vikings, like they're doing what the San Francisco 49ers are going to did, so they're going to draft a quarterback and then build up cap space and just go all in on cap on free agency soon. Like I think that's
Hmm.
what a lot of people's approach is. And honestly, it's sad to say maybe that's what Dallas is doing, which hurts because I'm like they didn't do a damn thing. But if Dak's not on contract next year, like that cap space is going to be enormous to what we've had in years. So I mean, like we'll see what they do. So maybe they do keep a Trey Lance and maybe trade for a younger quarterback and then go all in with him, and then go free agency frenzy next year. So we'll see how that goes because obviously they didn't do anything this year. But I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of teams are doing now. Like they saw the blueprint. There's always each decade and a half, right? Like Bill Belichick was so genius of how to follow the rules, even though there's people that are like he cheated on some games, but I'm like he bent players and he taught them how to play the game by the rules, NFL rules standard, but on his own account, right? So him and Brady built that regime with the Patriots. Like they didn't have a lot of flashy players like most people have on defense and offense. They had 1 to 2, 3 people on offense and defense that were flashy, other than Belichick and Brady. But what they do, tier B and tier C pieces, they did their part by playing the rules and like excelling in them. Like what is it? Like Belichick, the guy retired this year. I forget his name, but Belichick says he's the best special players in NFL history. There's a reason why he was on a team for so long, which is the Patriots, because Bill Belichick's like he can tackle, he can do the rough stuff, he can do the things that a lot of people don't want to do, and like that starts with like going back to the like, hey, let's not overpay a quarterback or overpay some certain people, and then this several years the 49ers did that. Like they learned like, what should we do? They drafted a young quarterback, and then even with the other quarterbacks, right, like Garoppolo and stuff, they didn't have them on expensive contracts, and they were still able to bring pieces.
Yep.
So and look at their I mean they've made it to the NFC Championship game and Super Bowls the last 4 or 5 years, and it goes back to like restructuring or like being smart with the cap space to bring overall team compared to like some parts to add to a team. So I think the Broncos, the Vikings, like the Bears, and other teams are gonna like think about it now, like, hey, we could do that too. And going back to that mindset, the Denver Broncos, safety Brandon Jones, Malcolm Roach, Cody Barton. Of course, they get rid of Russell Wilson. They get rid of Jerry Judy. Like those are all pieces that they're gonna have to pay, right? So like it's the same mindset. Like, hey, let's go get a young quarterback, and then like let's build him a super team in the next 2 or 3 years when we have all that cap space. So what do? We draft the quarterback now to make sure that we have him so we can help him and build around him. And what was the most exceptional piece about Drew Brees, Danny? His accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
Even his height, like he wasn't the tallest quarterback. He was girthy, but he wasn't tallest. But his accuracy, his pinpoint accuracy. So what is Bill? What does Sean Payton love? He
The
loves an
same.
old school, accurate quarterback that's not going to try to do much. But you already know where I'm going to go. I'm going with my boy, the most accurate quarterback
I
in
knew
college
it.
football history. Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos because he's going to be the next heir apparent for the Broncos and Sean Payton because it makes too much sense. He loves accuracy. He loves consistency, right? Like consistent is his key. And even if Brees threw a 3-yard pass because the defense was playing good against the deep receivers, accurately he would throw a 3-yard pass the entire game. And then what did they do? They'd score a lot of points, right? So then if once the defense came closer, what do? We're going to go above them now. So accuracy, I think Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos with Sean Payton. Like, are you kidding me? Like that sounds
That's a
so
perfect
beautiful.
guy.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful match made in heaven, to be honest. Like if I'm Dallas, I'm drafting Bo Nix at this point too. If we don't even know if Dak Prescott's going to be there next year, right? But he's not going
Yeah.
to be there at 24, and we're not going to obviously take a quarterback. So, yeah, to me, Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos is a perfect marriage waiting to happen.
I have to agree with you. I think Bo Nix and Drew Brees have a similar play style too. And
Yes.
if you're looking for the perfect quarterback developer, it's going to be Sean Payton. So, right,
Yeah.
Bo Nix is not the most complete prospect right now. Coming to the NFL, he's not the type of guy that would start right away and light it up. I think that with good coaching, with good supporting cast around him, he's going to become one of those prolific passers in the league. So that
Right.
was a really good one. I like that selection.
So and like you said, their playing style, right? It seems similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do that one hitch step to the left or right to loot and throw, and like
Yep.
that's exactly what Bo does and exactly what Drew did. So I think if they don't draft him at 12, I think they miss out, and then someone else will grab him and develop Bo. But if you want accuracy and consistency, what Sean Payton likes, like you cannot pass him up.
Yeah, I agree with you there for sure.
All right, the Raiders, number
Raiders.
13, the Raiders. All
So
right,
I know there was a run at quarterback. I think the quarterback run stops here. I don't think the Raiders think highly of Penix. I don't think they think highly of Spencer Rattler. So here I'm gonna go right. What did they sign this free agency? They signed an interior pass rusher. Christian Wilkins, who I think is gonna be able to generate a lot of pressure. So I think that their weakness on defense is going to be their defense, their secondary. And I think
right,
that, man, they have the opportunity to select one of the top 2 cornerbacks, right, at their position at 13. And so it really just comes down to what are they, and this is maybe a Pierce question, right? What does he envision on his defense? Does he want a scrappy, fast cornerback that could be Quinyon Mitchell? Or do you want somebody who's a student of the game, right, that will be able to, dissect what the offense is going to do and be at the right spot, right, to take away that football? I think this seems more like a Raider pick, so I'm going to go with the speed and the instinctual cornerback in Quinyon Mitchell. He's not your, I guess he's not one of those prospects that come from like a prestigious school or a Power 5 school, right? He comes from Toledo,
right.
but I don't think that truly matters. I think that he's the type of athlete that's going to be able to come into the league and make an impact right away. And so I don't see that as a negative for him. I just see that as an opportunity for the Raiders to take him and utilize his athleticism and put him and pair him, with the cornerback they have right now. So I would go Quenyon Mitchell here for the Raiders.
I'm down with that. I think the Raiders too at 13 is very very unique. Like I think that they'll be sneaky when the time has come. Like they might trade back, or like I just feel that Antonio Pierce is like gonna build his group, right? Like his identity. They got a 2nd-year quarterback, and then they got Gardner Minshew in free agency. He's not. I don't think they're gonna draft quarterback. Like I agree with you there. I think defense is key, right? They already got Wilkins to help Max Crosby, like a linebacker, a cornerback. I agree. Secondary, like it's definitely key for them to build that foundation. Like even a linebacker high, getting his own Antonio Pierce, to help the defensive line. But yeah, I agree that the Raiders definitely go defense. It makes good sense for them. Woo, this is fun. We got the New Orleans Saints. Hopefully they ain't the Aints in any longer, because I mean they're hurting. But all right, that they are. So they got Willie Gay, Cedric Wilson, Demario Davis. Those are notable signings. They were kind of quiet too for themselves. And honestly, I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback like people think either. They could reach with Michael Penix Jr. to be the future after Derek Carr. But I think this is year 2, Derek Carr. Josh Allen's trying to save his, behind, or Dennis Allen. I'm sorry. I think some coaches are just better coordinators. And as much as I love Dennis Allen, I think he's a better coordinator than a head coach. So I think this year he's definitely going to have to reach to make sure that he stays relevant. Because, I mean, their division just got a whole lot better because the Bucs won the division last year. And then now you got Kirk Cousins and the Falcons ready to pound. So, and Bryce Young, let's see if he can make a year 2 leap. But you have to start up front, offensive line or defensive line. Start with the trenches, right? And if Derek Carr needs help, then why wouldn't you draft an offensive lineman? I think they're going to go offensive lineman round 1 to help Derek Carr stay up front, stay high. I think I'm going to butcher his name, Olumuyiwa Fashanu at Penn State. Yeah.
Olu Fashanu.
Oh yeah, whatever. TJ, who's your mama? So I love him. I'm not messing with your name, bro. Like if you do end up watching this, like we're just having fun, but I love your name, to be honest, because it's hard to say and spell. But yeah, I think they go for him, right? Because he's not a name that a lot of people are like know of or talk about, but that's what the Saints are. They've always kind of like pick people like that people are not really talking about, right? And I think they need to help. They need to help Derek Carr. Like I get that you released Michael Thomas, but Derek Carr is a quarterback. If you keep him upright, he'll score you some points. And you still got Kamara, and then who's their Olave? Like I mean, you still have some pieces that you can help. So help him stay upright. And maybe y'all can do something, because like you guys need them. You got to score points. You got Kirk Cousins coming to the Atlanta Falcons that can score points with inconsistent offenses. Can you imagine if the Falcons can have a consistent offense? And then Baker Mayfield is just saying that 3-year deal, and then Mike Evans started 2-year deals. Like so, the Bucs are pretty much bringing back their regime. So like you have to keep your quarterback upright to score some points. So I think that's why they take a tackle at 14 to help Derek Carr score some points.
I like that one. That makes sense. And that seems like a Saints pick, right? They like to go offensive lineman. It doesn't matter if it's a center, a guard. That just seems like a Saints pick to me. All right. So let's go to the Colts. The Colts, I think, they don't need too many positions according to PFF. The wide receiver and DB. Wide receiver, I don't see that as a problem for the Colts, right? They just re-signed Pittman.
Right.
I don't know if they re-signed him or they franchise tagged him, but eventually they're going to re-sign him. And so I think that Pittman's a good one. They got Josh Downs last year, who showed some flashes as well last year. So I don't think they're going to go receiver here. I think that they're probably going to go cornerback. And if you're looking at the rankings as they are, right, even if we go to cornerback, I told you that Cooper DeJean is one of those smart, instinctual cornerbacks, and I feel
Yes,
like that
out
would
of
fit.
Iowa.
I just think that fits the way that the rest of the cornerbacks, right? You have Kenny Moore, who's a really good nickelback cornerback, and I just think that Cooper DeJean would really solidify that back end for the Colts.
I'm down with that pick. And yeah, like going back to the the Saints and then the Colts, right? They always pick players that are like never too flashy or whatever. They just pick the people that they believe that can get it done for them, right? So yeah, I agree. The Iowa kid, cornerback, and it helps them, right? It helps their defense. I mean, they signed Flacco to be a possible backup, which is a smart move because I Richardson to me is gonna this year is going to show a lot. Like, I don't even care about progression, bro. I just want to see if you can stay all 16 games because you run all the damn time. Like, you have what was it? His name's Charles Taylor, right? The running back or whatever, the Taylor. Like, you utilize him and stop trying to run. Like, be more of a pocket passer, progress, and don't get hurt because if you get hurt again, they're going to bail on you next year because they're going to be like, dude, like, we drafted you high and you can't do nothing. Like, what are you doing? So, like, this is a big year for him. So, if you get that cornerback to help that defense, like you got to stay healthy to help us score points, bro. So, Richardson, it's a big thing for him. And yeah, so so now we're at number 16, the Seattle Seahawks. Woo, new regime too, right? New head coach. Pete Carroll goes in the front office and blah blah blah. Like, I'm excited because like they're an interesting team this year for sure. So they get notable signings: Nick Harris, Rashawn Jenkins. Of course, they got Sam Howell in a trade. So Sam Howell, and you got Geno Smith who's there, and let's see how he ends up. So guard and center, right? So they need protection. So they're a type of team that love muscle and love flashiness and love all that ink. So why not go get yourself a Marius Mims offensive tackle from Georgia, right? So like someone that's already been physical, been in the SEC. Like, it just sounds like a Seattle Seahawk like name and angst of like person that they would love to get. I think someone to help protect Geno, and then in the future maybe it's Sam Howell or someone else. But damn, thank you.
That's a surprising pick that you took him over like Fuaga or Fatanu. I mean, it could happen. It happened last year with the Ohio State tackle. I'm trying to draw a blank. I think the Cardinals picked him up early, and he was expected to go late in the or middle of the first round. So it could happen. I don't hate it.
I just think that the way that Seattle has been built from a long time, from inside, outside, whatever, they love the physicality, right? And like, granted, Oregon State's tackle, Washington's tackle, they're just not with the team that has a flash, that has been there and done that type of thing. And that's what Seattle wants, right? Like, they want someone that's going to be like physical up front. Like, hey man, you're from Georgia, the SC, the most powerful conference, as they say in the college football. So like, come help us. And I think that's where Seattle goes with their mindset all the time.
That makes sense. I don't hate it. Jacksonville. All right, Jacksonville.
Woo!
This one was tough for me.
I'm excited to see them play too. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, I don't know. They can go so many different directions here, right? It shows here that their needs are guard, center. They just got a center in Mitch Morse this free agency, so I don't know if that would truly be a need in the first round.
Right.
But they're always looking for pass rushers. So I can definitely see their thought process if they wanted to go edge here. They could go Laiatu Latu. There's a lot of questions about his medical. This wouldn't be such a bad miss, right? If they were to select him at 17, and knowing that you have the potential to take a caliber like of Latu, right? Bringing pressure. You already have Josh Allen coming from one side, and then you have another speed rusher coming from the other side. I just think Latu would be a perfect fit in Jacksonville. So I'm gonna go
Yeah,
Latu
yeah,
here.
like I agree. Like he's got the name, he's got the he's got the swag. He's it's yeah, I'm pretty stoked to be honest. UCLA too. It's one of those teams that like they should be better than what they put out, right? Like it's
Yeah,
just one of those college teams. But him going there, yeah, and it's going back to that defense and all the people that they've already signed to. Like that sounds exciting. The Jaguars would love for him to drop all the way to them. You know what I mean? So like,
hmm
yeah, woo, buddy.
yeah. They
So
wouldn't
we
shy
got
away at
number.
all.
Oh yeah, it'd be perfect. And then yeah, Peterson loves his front seven like he did with Philadelphia. And then you got who do we got? The Cincinnati Bengals number 18, Geno Stone, Zach Moss, Mike Gesicki, and then possibly Higgins gone, right? And then oh
Possibly.
buddy, yeah, so possibly. It says they got Dean tight end, tackle, defensive line, but man, offense has been pretty popping lately, and I think where is he at? I think it okay. Let's say hypothetically, Higgins is gone. I think Keon Coleman, wide receiver of Florida State.
Oh my God, that's a shocker. Let me
Because
ask you
why?
why
Okay,
why Keon?
why Keon? I just I just think his flash and his speed, right? And then because it'd be a different diversity to what they already have. And if you're losing T Higgins in a trade, then how are you going to help your quarterback who's kind of like injury prone? I mean, like you're going to have to score some points and like hopefully he stays afloat. And tight end, the best tight end's already gone, so they're not going to reach for a tight end in the first round later in the draft, right? So
Yeah,
I
that they won't
think
do.
Keon Coleman to me sounds really good for the Cincinnati Bengals just because like I just think he fits there. Like I fix the Burrow esque wide receiver train, and like you want a good wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3, right? Like let's see. I mean, what happened to Boyd? Where did he go?
I don't think he's signed anywhere yet.
Okay, so then yeah, see, so you're in a flux already. So yeah, Keon Coleman from Florida State, I think, goes off the board to the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's a shocker, just because of his draft position, right? His draft projection, I should say. Um, the based off of his, the way his combine. I mean, it wasn't so bad, but other wide receivers like A.D. Mitchell, um, who else is the other one? Brian Thompson. They all had really good combine performances. So that would be a big shocker, just because they're leaving a lot of good
But
talent on the
okay,
board.
so did the other players play well and then had a good draft or a good combine, or is it he just didn't have a combine that was that great? Because
So to your point, yeah, to your point, I think Keon Coleman had a really good season. He had plenty of splash plays as well. The only question right now that I was reading from draft experts is that his route running isn't as polished as Brian Thompson or A.D. Mitchell. Um, but I mean, he has the catch potential, right? He has the same type of ability that a Brian Thomas and A.D. Mitchell do in terms of catching the ball, going up for it. It's just the route running that's the big question going to the NFL. And so I mean, it could happen. I'm just saying that would be a shocker if they went Keon Coleman above these other ones. And even think about it, Worthy
was
had
it?
a great performance, right? In
But
the combine.
we're going back to what people like a season thing, right? So, Jamar Chase, I mean, he's the stud at wide receiver at Cincinnati, right? Like, I mean, he had a great season, and I don't remember him. Did he even do his pro day?
I don't remember exactly about Chase or Jefferson, but to your point, right? They both
Yeah, because
were
there's
playing at
some teams.
LSU. Go for it.
Yeah, and exactly. So like my thing is like what you said, Marvin Harrison, right? He chose to sit out his pro day. Like some teams won't care because it's like, bro,
Yeah.
we saw you in the season and we were studying you the whole time. like, you know, or a combine. Like some people, like in school, right? Like you can study and be bad at a test, or you can have knowledge and just pass the class. So like, and then that goes with some teams, right? They're like, hey man, like your pro combine wasn't your best. What happened? Then they give them like a spunky response or whatever, and then they're like, oh okay, cool. And then you're okay, yeah, you're right. Like okay, cool. And then so they I think Keon Coleman, just because like I just, to me, he's just got the spunk that a Jamar Chase would want to play with.
Yeah, that he does. I mean, he even at his time, I think he was at Michigan State before. He was a baller there too, right? He's that type of receiver that go up and get it. So then again, right, these draft projections mean nothing at the end of the day, right? Because you can
Yeah,
leave
exactly.
a great wide receiver to the fourth round and he'll be a better performer than even all the first round selections. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you never know.
yeah, you don't. So sorry to spend a lot of time on that Keon Coleman. I didn't mean to make you
No,
second
we're
guess
good.
that.
Hey, this is what we're doing, right? This is why we came here, to like give us a few opinions and here and there, and like to chime in. And this is what's fun about the draft. We have no idea. I mean,
Yeah,
the Bears could draft Marvin Harrison at 1 and then go wait at number 9 and pick a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like we have no idea.
true. Yeah. That's the beauty of the draft. But let's go with the Los Angeles Rams now and see. So, if you would have asked me last week, Friday, Saturday, what the Rams were going to do, I would have said, oh, they're going to go tackle here. They want to solidify that offensive line. Now that Aaron Donald retired, shoot, look at this. You have the perfect
Yeah.
opportunity to select a new defensive tackle there. And maybe he's not the same potential as Aaron Donald coming out, but he's still a heck of a defensive tackle, one that produces a lot of pressure, is super strong. So this one's tough because I want to go offensive lineman here, but this is just a perfect opportunity, especially sitting at 19 and he's still on the board. So I'm going to go Jerzon Newton here for the Rams to replace Aaron Donald.
Illinois.
Yep.
And yeah, they're gonna need that because I mean that. Okay, so going back to like a little bit of the draft and like history, right? So the reason why I was bringing Brock Bowers to the Jets, because the Jets actually signed Mike Williams today too for a total 1 year deal,
Oh, they
or
did?
yesterday. So like yeah, so
I
like
missed that.
boom, right then and there, like it's a perfect match made in heaven, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
and then going back to Aaron Donald and like them needing that, Aaron Donald and Barry Sanders are the only two people in NFL history to go 10 years and 10 straight Pro Bowls, like out of anybody. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's a crazy like stat. Like out of the history of the NFL, they're the only ones that went from 10 for 10 to 10 for 10. And then
That's
I got the Pittsburgh Steelers, bro. And it's crazy. I get them too because I've been hyping them up, even though I'm a Cowboy fan. Like okay, like I'm not gonna lie. This is what I wish Dallas was doing, like just like figuring out pieces and puzzles from now and then the future, right? So Pittsburgh gets Russell Wilson. Hey man, be the Kurt Warner of the Arizona Cardinals, not the Kurt Warner of the New York Giants. Just come in. We don't need you to score 40 points, bro. We got amazing defense. We have a great coach. Like just chill and be consistent. Then you get Patrick Queen, a steal in free agency, and then you take him from a division rival, and then you get Justin Fields. So like, damn, what are we doing? We balling. That's what we're doing. So the Steelers need an offensive tackle, wide receiver, interior O line. Now, mind you, offensive tackle, and his name, like I can go for a tackle or a receiver because I think even a receiver to help that, I am gonna have fun with it. They're not even gonna get a tackle. We're just gonna ball out and score some damn points because we got Russell and Justin Fields. So we're gonna go Adonai Mitchell, Texas, wide receiver to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Woo! To help that flash, where they got Najee Harris at running back. You got Russell Wilson quarterback now. You always have a solid tight end. So boom. Adonai Mitchell to the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver to help that offense to keep growing and scoring. And you'll have that receiver there. So when Justin Fields takes over, they'll already have a good chemistry and commodity. So
AD Mitchell, that I love that one. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. Just because I know you have your top three wide receivers at the beginning of the draft, right? You have your Neighbors, you have your Dunze, and your Harrison Jr. But this
Right.
guy wouldn't surprise me to see this guy really burst into the scene. I think that he has that potential. He's a really good route runner, and he's great in the red zone. So if
Yeah,
you're
and
talking
he's
about,
clean, right? So like
yeah,
He's got that Pittsburgh moxie already.
like a Plexico Burris type, you know what I mean? And so,
Yes.
and if you think about it, they already have George Pickens making incredible plays, and now you pair him
Mhm.
with the AD Mitchell on the other side. That's a good cast right there.
Woo! And that's what I'm saying. Like they've had a great offseason. So just to add to it, we're just gonna have fun. Hey, we're gonna get another offensive weapon just so we keep scoring points, you know? So I'm like,
Yep.
damn, that'd be dope.
All right, I said, here I go calling you S again. Inside joke for anybody who's tuning in. I call him S. I'm not a cholo or anything like that, but just wanted to remind anyone who's tuning in here that if you're tuning in, thank you for giving us a view. We would appreciate if you can give us a like, subscribe to our channel. Just as a reminder, we're trying to grow this channel and provide you with more content. So if you can share this, like it, and subscribe, that we would really appreciate that. So
Yeah,
before I make my
please. Yeah, we're trying to grow this community. We're trying to get this going, you know? Like, this is exciting times, right? Like if you're an NFL fan, if you're a fan of sports, like you're especially when your team's about to draft, you're like, woo, buddy, like this is exciting times right here.
Yeah, right now it's kind of
Sheesh.
like the worst time to be a sports fan if you think about it, just because the football season just ended. March Madness is about to begin, so that's great. But there's a certain time frame where on the weekends there's just really nothing to watch other than tennis or
Yeah.
golf. So right now we're about to start March Madness, and then it's going to be the start of the opening season, right, in the MLB. So it's before you know it, we're going to reach training camp. We're going to reach preseason. So it's an exciting time. Especially this is the perfect time to start this show, right? This podcast. Jay and I always talk about the NFL when we get together. And so, as we look to build this brand and connect with others, right, we just want to be able to talk football with several people, engage with the people that are tuning in. So a subscribe would really mean a ton to us. All right. So Miami, here we go. Oh, Miami's tough because, you mentioned addition by subtraction, right, earlier, and they did get rid of a lot of big time contracts, especially Christian Wilkins. So
Right.
um, there's just, I think the way that the draft board is falling right now, there's just a lot of opportunity. Like I mentioned the Rams, right before your AD Mitchell pick, that they were able to replace Aaron Donald. Same thing here, right? They have the opportunity to take a Byron Murphy here from Texas, who him and Sweat
Woo!
were just there were beasts up the middle for Texas. And I think that if you're
Right.
looking to replace Wilkins, this is a perfect spot to do it. Murphy falls, right on your lap. So I'm gonna go Byron Murphy here for the
That's
Dolphins.
a great pick. And long live the Longhorns. Yeah, Byron Murphy's a stud. Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah, honestly, and addition by subtraction, right? Like we were talking about, like they had a decent offseason, even though they started releasing people early. You're kind of like, wait, what are you doing? And then going back to the whole, like I said, like not giving so many contracts or so much contracts, but how can we build up before we have to give up the contracts, right? So like that's
Yep.
pretty much what Miami's doing. Like, hey, Tua's here, man. Like before we have to pay him, like let's go all in and get all these tier A and tier B, tier C pieces. So like add to it. Ooh, now I got the dreaded rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. Woo!
Skip
All right,
skip
so
their
they get
pick, right?
Saquon Barkley. The what?
You want to skip their pick? I
Yeah,
know you do.
they get nullified. They get Saquon Barkley, C.J. Gardner Johnson, Bryce Huff. Like I mean, they had a great free agency offseason so far. Like
Yeah.
you know, Tad Prescott has not been shy to say that they're the best front office in the NFL, and adding lemons to the lemonade already. But yeah, I think with that defense, that young defense, right? They still want to keep going, so they got Gardner Johnson back, and then plus they want to grow from the depth that they grew last year. So if you get, I think, I think they'll get a Kool Aid McKinstry from Alabama quarterback who's
I like
been
that.
obviously tested in the SEC, and they want physicality right in Philadelphia. He would fit that mold and that moxie to perfection. So, as sad as I want to say this, Dallas Cowboys fans, I think that Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alabama, would be a great pick for them because it just it would just be good for the young defense that they're growing, right? So it adds to the flavor, and then plus their offenses are all vets, so like they're not hurting. So man, it'd be. I think the Eagles are gonna be right back in the mix next year, man. Like I knew that they were
Yeah,
gonna have a fall last year because how everyone was young and coaching staffs leave and all that. Like, but this year, like man, I'm a bit worried.
I
So
I
man,
think
you
what
hit the
hurt them was their
Vikings twice.
defense.
Look at you.
Yeah, lucky
Oh yeah,
me.
hands down.
Yeah, no, going back to your Eagles, I think that the Eagles what hurt them. I mean, they had a solid team. They were what 7-0 last year, and then they just kind of fell from
Yeah, they
from
were
that
they were
top spot.
undefeated for a good minute.
So I think now that they have Vic Fangio, I mean, that was a perfect defensive coordinator to get for the Eagles, and he would love a
Oh
Kool-Aid
yeah.
on his team. He would probably go, "Oh yeah," right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh
the Kool-Aid man.
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, so let's
Woo.
go with the Minnesota Vikings. So they got their quarterback early on, right? They got JJ McCarthy. Here, I would think that they would want to solidify that offensive line. So let's see who's available on the offensive line. Well, we have tackles, right? We have the two top tackles, Fuaga and
Yeah.
Fatanu.
Flaga and
Uh-huh. And then, but what I do think they really need is a guard. And I don't think we really touched any guards up to this point. So let's see what the interior offensive lineman. Ooh, Jackson Powers Johnson. I, we both are fans of Jackson Powers Johnson, right? But
yeah.
I don't know. Uh, This is tough. I would hate to be in this position right now if I was the Vikings GM. Oh man.
Yeah, because like, do you need a center? Or do you not need a center? Like, you know what I mean? Like, or a tackle because you could always move pieces. So yeah, what do you want
Yeah.
to do?
Yeah. And I think Fuaga, I mean, just he has top 10 potential. And I believe he was a right tackle. And then Fatanu would be your left tackle. So I think at this point, I would probably go. They have Chris Darisaw, right, as their tackle already right now. So I would say Fuaga being the right tackle. I would probably go with Fuaga here. I mean, it's great value. Like I said, he's expected to go top 10. So if you could get him at 23, that's just
Yeah,
a
if he
steal.
falls all the way down to you, like yeah, it's a blessing for sure.
Yep. Ooh, your beloved. Who do you got?
Uh well, see, I want to have fun, but also, I mean, I'm tired of like hoping for players because it never happens. So like, Jerry Jones does not want to make me happy or any Cowboy fan happy. So, but
Wait,
I
before you
think
before you
this.
make that before you make that pick, I just want to share what Gabe said. Gabe said that pick number 24 should be a kicker.
I just saw it right now. Hey, we have the best kicker in the league right now, homie. I don't think so. That dude. Hey, oh man, if we had anything going for us 2023, that was Brandon Aubrey. That dude, his
Yeah,
career, he broke the record with 32 straight field goals or something, or 28, whatever. I mean,
a
that was
former
crazy.
a former
Homie
MLS
did his
kicker,
job. I'd rather
right?
pay him all his damn money than anybody else like on offense because I'm like he still won't be expensive and he'd be damn worth it.
Yeah,
Remember what happened when you guys released Robbie Gold? What happened? Your offense couldn't even score 10 points. What do you mean?
the double
Remember
doink
that?
happened. Yep.
Dos Santos. Yeah,
No, that
man.
wasn't
But
him.
oh well, yeah. See that guy's so irrelevant. I don't even know who. I
Yeah,
don't even know who it is. But
we
okay,
choose we choose
going
to
back
move
to
on
my
here.
Cowboys. So I think I'm just gonna make this since he's on the board. I'm gonna make the safe bet because we'll obviously pretty much need him. Out of the wide receiver and running back group, obviously in this draft we'll be able to pick one up later on, but we're going
Mhm.
Oregon, Jackson Powers Johnson for center because we can put Tyler at left tackle and then put or another Oregon stud who we got undrafted last year, who actually stood tall when he had his mark this year, we'll put him at left guard, and then we have Johnson at center. Then I'd be comfortable again back with our offensive line, because like right now it's in a paranoid flux. Smith is gone, Badiash is gone. You put Johnson, Martin, and then Steele, which was, hopefully he'll have a better year 2 in his new contract. And then you have Tyler Smith and then Hoffman on left. Like I think Jackson Powers Johnson at center makes all this. And like pick number 24 has always helped, for some reason, has always been good to Dallas. So like let's try not to reach, and let's just get what we need. And then 2, long snapper. And then 2, we need to protect 4, right? Like this is his make it or break it year. So we need to make sure that we kind of make sure that he stays upright, because he does have injury concerns, right? Like Prescott's been injured twice in his career. And like I'm an Oregon Duck fan, for people that don't know. So like I've always been following Oregon, and this guy, if he falls to us at 24, it makes too much sense. And the last 2 centers we've had have panned out really well, Frederick and Badiash. Yep. And then of course we didn't want to pay him, so he leaves. And then, which I gotta get paid. I mean, it's business. So I don't hate the guy. So, but yeah, if Jackson Johnson falls to us, it makes so much sense to put him there, just so we can solidify the offensive line and have depth. And then, damn it, Danny, you should have picked him for the Vikings. He said he should have taken him from me. But hey, that's the one person I've been saying all like, the last few weeks, right? If we ain't going to pick nobody, then Johnson's the guy I want at center, right? So if he's there at 24, all in, going there, because round 2 and 3, we can get a running back and a receiver to help that depth. And like I said, if we're going to do the whole spend more this year in the following years because of content, we could go get an Aaron Jones next year and give him a multi-year contract, right? So like that's the best pick for us, right?
Yeah, even Gabe thinks that's a good pick, and I agree with Gabe. I think that Jackson Powers Johnson would be the perfect guy to replace I always screw up his name, Biadasz, whatever. The guy that went to Washington.
Badiash. Yeah, I agree. Like I want him so badly. Even like he don't even. I mean, no one's an Oregon really but me around here. But like even Dino's for those that don't know, he's my stepfather. He's like, dude, I've been watching like that Johnson kid from Oregon. His tape. Like we need him. I'm like, yeah, I've been saying that from like a while ago.
Yeah, he's a brawler for sure.
Yeah, I would, man, and his moxie, he ain't afraid to go fight, like he ain't afraid to get dirty. So like I'm excited. Ooh, the Green Bay Packers, those you hate them because they're in your division. I hate them because they embarrassed us.
It's funny, like, right? I wish I could sabotage both the Vikings and the Packers selections here, but it's playing out nicely actually. If this is the way it's supposed to go, right? It would work out really nice, because you can go 2 different ways if you're the Packers here, right? You could get your tackle to replace I'm trying to blank on the tackle that just recently got released.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so he was a staple for that offensive line. So if you're able to replace him with the Troy Fautanu, again, another top 10 value pick here that you can get at 25, right? Or you can go cornerback, right? You're working on the defense this offseason in terms of, getting a safety with Xavier McKinney. That wouldn't surprise me to see them go a Nate Wiggins here at 25. But I think, the way that the success that Love had this past year, I think that, it's going to be a priority for them to fix that line, right? Keep it steady. So I would say that they would probably go Troy Fautanu here to ensure that Josh Jacobs has a good running lane, right? And then also Jordan Love remains upright. So
it's so weird to hear his name with the Green Bay Packers, man.
Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, like when you said that, I was like, wait, that's the quarterback's name. And then I was like, wait, oh, okay. And then I know what you're talking about. Like, wait, hold up, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. I would rather see Aaron Jones back there, but it is what it is.
I'd rather see Aaron Jones in Dallas, but that didn't happen. So, I mean, bring him to Texas, and he went further east. Like, what's going on?
So our friend Dennis is a Packers fan, and he agreed. He approved the pick. So I guess Troy Fautanu was a good selection for Packers fans here.
And he's even got the name to be a Packer. Like Packers have always had interesting names, right? So Troy
Hmm.
Fanatu or Fatanu and Brett Favre and Bart
Faber.
Starr. Like, you know what I mean? They always had names that are just like sticking out to you. BJ Raj, you know, yeah,
Ha ha, Clinton
they always had
Dix.
cool names. Yeah, exactly. Like, ha ha. Thank God he didn't come to us. But remember, man, he was one of those Alabama people that I thought should have been way better, but he
Yeah,
just didn't
me too.
live up to college hype. All right, here we go. Do we have Bucks fans in here? Whoop whoop! Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock, number 26. So okay, your division just got a hell of a lot better. I mean, the Falcons going to be no joke next year. So you get Jordan Whitehead, Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield. They come back, so that's something that you can solidify and keep going. Um, so that would be awesome. They running back. I don't know the Bucks
Mm.
cornerback. All right. So my website said cornerback, offensive line, and edge. Yours says running back, tight end. Like the Bucks are an interesting team to like. Maybe they trade back. Maybe they figure out some stuff. But what happens when the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl? Each time they've had a top 3 defense in every category. So what are you going to do? You need a cornerback still. You need to bring that defense back to where it was. So we're going Nate Wiggins, cornerback, Clemson, to solidify that cornerback need. They were Devin White is gone. Yes, he is. Well,
Yep.
it ain't. Gabe said Devin White is gone, which is true. He ain't my team, but I think they need a cornerback because they got trounced obviously in the second round because they didn't have a solidified cornerback to help on both ends.
And
But
they
yeah,
got
I
rid of
think Nate Wiggins.
they got
The
rid of
what?
Carlton Davis to the Lions.
Yes.
Remember, they just traded him.
Yeah,
So
so you know what I mean. They need that stock back for sure because you can't have like
yep.
if they're already losing with those pieces. Can you imagine if they're gonna play without those pieces? So they gotta bring him back. I think Nate Wiggins, cornerback to the Tampa Bay Bucks, makes pretty good sense.
This is a great value pick to get him at 26. Right, I think that
Oh yeah,
would be
for
awesome.
sure. Like
Really
he fell
ecstatic.
all the way down to you, and like yeah, I think it's a great stuff for them.
All right, we have the Arizona Cardinals who picked twice because of their trade with the Houston Texans
Right.
last year.
Yeah,
So
Texans have
let's
no
see.
draft pick or the Browns.
Yeah. So I think that, they went wide receiver earlier with Marvin Harrison Jr., which I could definitely see happen
Yep.
here. They actually have a really good position, right? If they were to play out this way, they would have the opportunity to select another top cornerback, right? And Terrion Arnold from Alabama. Or they could go offensive lineman, right? And they have the opportunity to get a Christian Haynes as a guard. Or if they wanted to go tackle as well, right? They got a tackle last year with their top pick, their 4th pick, I believe. So they have the opportunity to go with JC Latham. And so I believe that this pick here would probably be a tackle, right? Because you want to solidify. You talked about keeping Murray healthy. And I think the way that you do that is by
Right.
getting 2 stud tackles, right, in back-to-back drafts. So I'm going to go JC Latham here for the
Right.
Arizona
That sounds
Cardinals.
good to me, and it gives you an identity, right? It helps you get an identity to like going forward.
Yep, definitely. The Buffalo Bills. Let's see. What do you think?
No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Here we go. Woo, Buffalo Bills. So man,
They go wide
this
right.
year, I mean, this year they have to at least make the conference championship game. Like this is year 5 or year whatever with the McDermott and Allen thing, and like they're always there. What if Diggs isn't there? What if he's already got traded? There's so many things. This team, because they already signed Curtis Samuel, they got Ditch Mitch and then Nicholas Morrow. So, they're so interesting to me. Do they go to cornerback or wide receiver? What if Diggs is gone? But I think they've lost too much on the defensive side to not try to get something back out of it, right? So they've lost a lot.
Yeah.
So they need defensive lineman, linebacker, defensive back. I mean, they could they'll take anybody at this point. So why not take? Where did he go? Defensive. Hold on, give me a second.
Defensive line.
We got no. We're gonna go Terrion Arnold, cornerback. Like secondary help. They got Poyer, they got Hyde, they got all these people that they've lost, right? So you gotta that secondary is gonna be hurting for sure. They lost what 3 secondary people?
Yeah.
So yeah, Terrion Arnold, Alabama or cornerback would be a stud for them for sure.
Gabe approves that pick. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Think Gabe, Arnold.
Like, hands down, you lost so much secondary. You cannot reach enough to get a secondary person for sure for them. If he falls to them, yeah, for sure. Like, bro, we're taking you for sure. So yeah,
that would be a steal too, and that's top value at that position.
And Alabama, going back to it, like their push comes to shove. They're always in the mix.
They produce cornerbacks. So. Yeah, they produce good cornerbacks.
Oh, for sure.
They play really good wide receivers in the SEC. So yeah, that I would, as a GM, I would feel comfortable drafting a cornerback from even a safety from Alabama. Unless his name's HaHa Clinton Dix, then I probably wouldn't feel so comfortable.
Jokes on you.
All right, Detroit. This one is, so from what I see, right, they need a guard, a center. I don't think they really truly need a guard. I think they signed a guard just recently from the Baltimore Ravens, Zeitler. So I don't think that guard is really a necessity for the Lions. The great thing about them, right, they're coming off a NFC Championship appearance. They had a really strong offense. And as far as edge goes, right, because they could always use more pass rushers to complement Aiden Hutchinson. And if you think about it, right, there's Chris Braswell, who was, Dallas Turner's counterpart over there. Or you have Chop Robinson. I don't view Chris Braswell as a first-round talent. This is just my opinion. I just don't think that he has a potential. But Chop Robinson is one that has gotten some hype. And I don't know if you saw him in the NFL Combine, but that boy ran, and he's fluid in the way that he did those.
And so he's an edge rusher from Penn State, and he ran, right? Who was the last Penn State edge rusher that just like floored the people, and he could run? Micah Parsons. So that would be a great pick for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways, right? They can go Chop Robinson. They could go the best receiver, which at this point is Brian Thomas from LSU. But I don't think that wide receiver is truly a priority for them. They already have Amon. I can't pronounce his name. His first name, Amon St. Brown. What's his name?
Amon St. Brown. Yeah, he's a stud, man.
Yeah, so he's gonna get paid. He deserves it. They have their home run wide receiver in Jameson Williams. So I don't think that wide receiver would be a priority for them. So for that, I would probably just take Chop Robinson just because of the potential, right? You have a speed rusher, powerful rusher to complement Aiden Hutchinson. So I'm going to go Chop Robinson here with the 29th pick.
Chop. Hopefully he doesn't chop block.
Gardner is gone.
Here we go.
Yep. Gabe was saying Gardner's gone, maybe a safety. But see, the safety position right now, it's not the strongest when it comes to the first-round potential. I know that these Tyler Nubin, Javon Bullard, they're all going to go second round. So at the beginning of the second round, I think you're talking about first round talent.
Go ahead.
Go for it. No, I was done.
Well, and honestly, that's somewhat cornerbacks lately. The last 10 to 15 years have always been drafted before safeties, right? So like, safeties do kind of come off the board a little later. Like, when you have to like kind of reach for like, hey man, maybe we'll pick up a stud. Like, there has been some good safeties too that weren't drafted really high, and then they ended up balling out, right? So the Lions, like that's another team that's interesting too. At 29, do they trade back because they already have like a stud of a team, and then they can get more draft capital, because they have good cap room. They still have good cap space. So I mean, who knows who they can get more. So
they were smart last year, the way that they built that team.
Oh yeah. Like
so they're sitting in a good spot.
Yeah, they can ball out for a good minute for sure if they need to. So the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. you get Derrick Henry. I mean, you pretty much you're one of the people that win free agency, right? So you already have a good team or whatever. So we're just gonna add pieces to that youth of a good team. Odell's still possibly a free agent, which I think he is. You don't know what's happening. We're not even gonna worry about Odell because you know why? We got Brian Thomas from LSU, wide receiver, sitting there in our lap. Are you kidding me? We're gonna have him next to Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I mean, woohoo! Can you imagine what is going to happen with that offense? Are you kidding me?
I think you just saved the NFL here because if the Baltimore Ravens wouldn't have taken Brian Thomas, I think the Chiefs would have, or even the Niners, right? They already have
Oh,
issues
yeah.
with Ayuk, so that was a good one.
Brian Thomas, to go with Flowers and Henry and Lamar. And then they have two good tight ends, too. So I'm like, man, you add that. And that defense is no joke. I mean, that defense is, even though they lost Patrick Queen, like that's one piece of the puzzle, right? Like their defense is always good and physical. Ooh,
Yeah,
damn, we're down at 32 already. Jeez. Woo, good.
we're at
Man, this thing's
31.
going. This is
It
I
flew
know, but
by.
like this has gone quick. This has gone quicker than I thought it would. Remember, I was like, man, we're gonna be here for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Bro.
No,
Like I'm
I
so
think
man, this is so fun.
yeah, I love this, and this is why I love fantasy football because of this, right? You already have your projections and who you want, your targets, and I mean the person before you, the person after you can take your guy, and you have to reconsider everything, your strategy, right? So with the San Francisco 49ers, I think they're very similar to the Lions in the sense that I mean, they're a solid team, right? Their defense is solid, their offense is solid. What can they use? And it really just depends on how it all plays out with Ayuk. If Ayuk stays and he's there another year, another couple years, I think that their offense will be perfectly fine, right? But if you're
Right.
looking to protect,
That's
right?
if.
Yeah, that's a big if because he didn't seem too happy after the Super Bowl. But if you look at the best available, right? You already have Graham Barton. The beauty about Graham Barton from Duke is that he's a type of guy that can play center, can play guard, so he can be moved around. Um, I don't necessarily think the Niners would go linebacker here. And then you start talking about the center, which I don't think they truly need right now. So, oh man, let's see. This is a tough one. I don't know where to go here. I can see a Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin would be a pretty good receiver for
Yeah,
them.
especially if Ayuk is gonna be dipping or something.
Hmm. I don't know, man. This is tough for me. I think I got stumped.
Honestly, Danny, people might be yeah, this is part that's the part of the draft that like man, they're already solidified. Like how can they get better what they do? I honestly think that they wouldn't even think about drafting a running back there.
A running back?
You have a young, yeah. You okay? Just hear me out a little bit. You have a young quarterback still, right? And then you're going to have
Mhm.
pieces of wide receivers and tight ends possibly leaving or staying. So you don't know what's going to happen. And what are you going to do? You still want to stay physical, and you want to keep your young quarterback upright. So Christian McCaffrey, even though he's amazing, he has injury issues. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs, right? They win the Super Bowl, and who did they get for their first pick of that draft? Edwards-Helaire. So I mean,
Mhm.
like they just added to what they already had the moxie of. So I honestly think the 49ers could look for like a running back or something like that that would surprise people, but at the same time it'll give them depth going forward.
Yeah.
Because they do those sweeps anyway with Debo. What if one day he's injured and he doesn't want to do it, or he's older, or like he's gone? Like you're gonna need a sweepy running back to to be with McCaffrey.
Yeah,
I was thinking about
I hear what you're saying, and it's true, right? As running backs start to age, they start to become less productive, right? Because they continue to get hurt.
right.
And the way that McCaffrey is play style, he does get hurt, but I don't see him slowing down at least this year. And then the second thing,
No, I don't
is
either.
I told you, like, I think it was the last episode of not the episode before that. Running backs in this draft are not the strongest, right? They're not. You don't have a Bijan Robinson this year, so
Right.
I just think it would be really risky for them to go running back here. I mean, the way that it's all played out, or draft board, I would probably go Graham Barton just because you have that flexibility between guard and tackle that you can kind of.
Yeah, that's
He can
fine.
just be a swing lineman, right? So
Right.
for this sake, I'm gonna go with Graham Barton.
That's cool. I mean, yeah, it's a safe, good pick, and you need to protect your young quarterback. Pieces are leaving every free agency, so you never know.
Yeah. Gabe said that Dave mentioned that he wants to select Bobby Boucher with the 31st pick,
That's what Dave said.
according to Gabe.
Um, well, don't worry, we won't tell your mama.
My mama said. All
My
right, what
mama
does your
said.
mama
My
tell
mama
you about
said.
32?
My mama said 32. Oh my god! So you just okay? You're the Super Bowl champion. Like you ain't don't need nothing. You got Marquise Brown to add to the speed that you left without Tyreek Hill. So I mean, you additional by subtraction again. Like I mean, my goodness. So tight end Irvin Smith Jr. So like they love their tight ends, right? So honestly,
Worthy?
I think no.
I'm just kidding. Oh man, I just
Go
want to
to
replace
defensive
Tyreek Hill.
tackle,
Defensive
right? Yeah.
tackle?
Yes,
All right,
sir.
it's
Because you just signed your best player on defense to an extension. Your offense just got better in free agency. What better way to add to your best player than put the next best player next to him? So that being said, I mean, you can go Brandon Fisk, Rook, Huda, and whatever. Like you can add any of those dudes. Brandon Dorless from Oregon, that dude's a baller. Let me tell you. Like, obviously, me being an Oregon fan, like that dude's a stud. And obviously, Troy Franklin, who's still on the board at wide receiver, they could take him. Like that'd be a steal for them too. But Brandon Fisk, Florida State defensive line next to Chris Jones. Are you kidding me right now? And then we already hate, people hate them already because they've already won 3 out of 5 Super Bowls. So you add that next to Chris Jones, my goodness.
that
Well,
is
there's that
scary.
Chris Jenkins guy that I was mentioning earlier for Harbaugh. But yeah, Brandon Fisk next to Chris Jones, good, and I mean, good luck.
Yeah, no, Braden Fisk, man. I don't know if you
Because
saw him.
when you're basically 29 to 32, right? Like you're just like, we can mess with this. We can trade back. We can do whatever.
Yeah.
Because people want to be where people want to pick where we're picking. So then, like, yeah,
There's
like
no,
why? And let's just
there's no bust at 31 and 32, right? It's just you're taking a
yeah,
flyer on
exactly.
someone.
And then you're just gonna help them grow because you're already an it team, like the it team that's made it to the Super Bowl. So yeah, Brandon Fisk next to Chris Jones with that defense that's already young and hungry anyway.
I like
it, buddy.
That's a really good one. I don't know if you saw him in the combine. He's fast, man. He has a good.
Can you imagine Chris Jones's power and then Brandon Fisk's speed like that? That's insane.
Yeah, I like it. Here's our draft. Let's see. We're going to post this up because I want to make sure that I want to showcase how wrong we are, right? Oh, man. Come on.
Hey, technically these experts are wrong too until it happens. So
yeah,
I mean, this was fun. I liked it. Like, cause I mean, there's always reaches, right? And then there's always going to be a team that trades out or like trades something. Look at Texas went back to back. Adonai Mitchell and Brian Murphy, and then of course the quarterbacks are always high. Bobby Boucher, sorry Dave, he ain't in the draft this year. Sorry, the Mud Bowl's next year. But yeah, I mean I like where we went because there's always going to be a few teams that like, you know what, like this name wasn't as flashy from the media perspective, but we like him. This is our guy. Obviously, and sometimes it doesn't work. Like you've been there. Dave's 49ers have been there. Mine as a Cowboys fan, Mozzie Smith, year 2, we'll see if he grows. So like, there's always those pictures like, damn, did we reach? We don't know until honestly the top 5 picks, right? Or whatever. Like those dudes are supposed to be ready from the jump. Like you're like, all right, man, like you're top 10, like you're supposed to be the guy. But everyone under, you're like, we're bringing you in to add to our depth and see where we can need you later. Like my guy, Jackson Powers Johnson, right? Like I want a center, but like if he's not there, do we go a guard and then just move one of our guards to center? So man, this is fun. This is just 1.0. Like, can you imagine 2.0? Like, that'd be crazy because there's still going to be free agencies that that are going to sign within the next few weeks. So we'll see what happens then.
Yeah, we can definitely do this again, and hopefully I'll subscribe to the PFF to do that. What we can do.
Like
I mean,
trades.
I'm not an trades, right? I'm not an expert. I can't do all 7 rounds. I don't know enough players to do 7 rounds worth of selections. But
Can you imagine? Like, okay, we're talking about trades. We're talking about like what ifs, right? Can you imagine Dave's face if he saw breaking news? Brandon Ayuk getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys for like a third and like a second round pick next year or whatever. Imagine his face. Like, but Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, and Stephon Diggs, y'all better be ready because those three are going to be popping up in the draft for sure.
Don't worry, Dave. That's not going to happen. Jerry Jones ain't doing shit.
Hey, if it happens, y'all better be recording that. I'm gonna be looking at Dave like. I love Brandon Ayuk.
We'll see.
Ever since he came from the draft, I've praised his name.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, him, Diggs, T. Higgins. I mean, do you really lose with any of the three? No, remember we were talking about it in episode 2, I think, like getting a Higgins to help Dallas in their goal line with his big body. That'd be great. So I'm like, there'd be like, man, there's so many what ifs coming our way, especially all the way up until April 25th. So, Danny, like, okay, we just did our mock draft 1.0. We got a few followers and a few viewers, and hopefully, more people start chiming in and stuff like that. Give me a pick that we did right now in the top, let's say 15, that you were just like, wow, that's a massive great pick for that team, or like a massive surprise.
That's hard because I see 2 right off the bat.
Okay.
I would probably say Brock Bowers to the Jets, just because
we're on the
they
same
already have.
wavelength, sir.
Yeah, they have already their wide receivers solidified, right? They have really good wide receivers, and now you tell me they signed Mike Williams, right?
Yes,
so
and that's a big body in the goal line, big area. Like when you need him, like, dude, and then
good
you
luck.
put a Brock Bowers. Yeah, like
good luck covering those receivers, right? And then you know how Rodgers works, man. He's a magician back there under center.
Yeah,
so
like I said, the person I'm always frustrated with, but the talent you can never deny. And like he makes receivers, tight ends, running, but he makes teams better.
yeah.
So yeah, putting a Greg Powers there or Bowers, like, damn, imagine the AFC East just like looking like, bro, we got to take these fools. Like this is gonna be scary. And especially
what did you call him? Did you call him Greg Bowers?
I said Greg Powers or whatever. I don't know. Brock Bowers. It's one of my actor friends. That's what I'm like crossing the two. But Brock Bowers. So I'm thinking like a young Buffalo secondary is gonna have to take that. You know what I mean? And same thing with like last year. Like the Eagles' young defense was having to take a Niners and a Cowboys offense. You know what I mean? So it's like it's hard. So like imagine if A-Rod stays healthy. You got a Brock Bowers, Wilson. Who's their running back? He's no joke either. And then you got Mike Williams. Like, man, that sounds great. And then of course I like the Giants pick, even though they're my rival and I don't like them just because it hurt getting you all. But to me it just makes too much sense. Romeo Odunze, like if you're gonna stick with Daniel Jones at least for one more year, you have to give him help.
Yeah, it's the whole Justin Fields effect, right? You want to make sure that you're providing enough weapons. But what I tell you, last episode or the episode before that, they have a lot of similar like body types at receivers, right? They have those speedy wide receivers that I think they don't truly have an identity. So if they were to go Rome Odunze, it would make sense to me at least because now you have that big body receiver who can go up and get it. Yeah, I would hate that honestly as a Bears fan, but I mean those things can happen.
Right, and I told people when Justin Herbert was about to be drafted, right? Like no matter as much as I love all the other quarterbacks, I would pick him number 1 just because he's the legitimate like old school like quarterback, just pretty boy broad, but it can be very accurate. And so far he's stayed healthy, which is the biggest thing, right? And number 12, Bo Nix going to Denver. Like whoever, obviously this is 1.0, so he may not go to Denver, but whoever gets Bo with his accuracy, even if he has to wait a year or 2 or whatever, like I think he's a great fundamental because you want someone that's already been there, done that, right? That's what we're talking about, like the Alabamas, the Georgias and stuff. Like he's played in 2 big franchise college organizations. He played for Auburn and Oregon. and he's the only person in college history with something like over 30,000 yards passing and over like 100 yards touchdown passing in two colleges or something like that. It's like a weird, crazy stat. But since he played so much years in college, he's had so many stats to build upon. And like when you have accuracy within 7 years or whatever, how long his college years were, like that's every year. You know what I mean? Because if you have
Yeah.
incompletions, it subtracts, And I'm like, you were the longest running quarterback in college football history, and yet you probably ended up as the highest accurate. Like that, the science isn't really there, right? Like, how the heck did you? How are you the most accurate if you played the longest? You know, incompletions should have added up. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I think he'd definitely be a steal. Like of course there's some reaches in the mid drafts, like like Kool-Aid or maybe a Byron later on. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see like Joe Alt, like Notre Dame to Tennessee, like that's great. Like that builds you a foundation for sure, right? So like it,
Yeah.
it gives you an identity for sure. And Dallas Turner to the Falcons. Oh my God, can you imagine? Like just to add to that offense, like that'd be great too for them.
Those
This
are
is
all good
exciting.
picks. Yeah, for
The
sure.
next, the next Puka Nakua. Who is
He's
who
talking
is
about
Gabe?
he's talking about Ricky Pearsall from Florida. And if anyone is watching and they don't know who he is, go watch his YouTube tape. He has like one of the sickest catches that I've ever seen in college football. So I'm gonna send you the link to that, Jay, so you can take a look. But yeah,
For
that
sure.
dude
And
has
plus he's still on the board.
yeah,
So and
he's gonna be there second round.
that's the steal, right? Like you and hey, who knows who's gonna get him? So that's awesome. And there's
That's what the
always
draft's about.
what's great, yeah. Round 2 and 3, those where the most steals come from, right? So like it's
Yep.
it's it's exciting to see. Woo, buddy. But yeah, this is
So
1.0 of the top 32.
that was fun. I mean, these 2 hours just flew by.
Oh, like yeah, I don't know how fast. Like it's so crazy how fast it goes.
Yeah,
But
definitely. And so I wanted to ask you for the next episode, what do you think? I know Mel Kiper just released his mock draft today.
mhm.
Maybe we can kind of go over his mock draft next week and see, if we like it. If
Danny. All right, for those that
Mel,
don't know, I'm channeling into my Mel Kiper to Todd McShay. Todd. No, Todd. But yeah, let's do that. Let's see what he says and what he thinks for people going, and then we can talk about why we agree or why we disagree or why we think that maybe it's a reach or maybe they should pick another person or with the same position.
yep,
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I mean,
sounds.
I love Mel Kiper, right? He's been there like a staple for ESPN, and kudos to him to always like, and his picks are usually at least 75% to 80% accurate. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those
Yeah,
like, and it's hard to do. That's 32 teams, and you're getting like majority of them right. Like, I mean, that's hard to do, right? So, yeah, big fan of Mel Kiper. So yeah, we're definitely gonna channel in our Mel Kiper Jr. mind next episode. So that sounds pretty good to me. For those that chimed in, David, Gabe, and
Gabe.
hopefully we get more people. We appreciate it, and we're trying to build this right. We're trying to build a build foundation. So yeah, subscribe, follow all that jazz. Trying to eventually we want to do this as like a marketing thing where we people endorse and then we sponsors and all that jazz. So and give us feedback also. Let us know how everything went and what you think, and let us know how your teams did in our mock draft. Like, do you like it? Do you not like it? Who do you think your team should take? Danny, what any other awesome feedback you can have?
Nope, you said it all. Just want to thank those who tuned in, especially for the 2 hours. I know it's a long time, but thanks for sticking around and giving us your feedback. That means a lot to us.
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, if you're an NFL fan, we're always excited for the draft, right? Like free agency already started, except for Jerry Jones, but we're gonna get there. But it's been a good time, and I can't wait for.
Yep.
I love the draft. I don't know. It's so weird, right? Like we love we love to watch someone else's dreams come true, and then like we're like, all right, like hopefully that's the guy that's gonna help us win everything, right? Like it's our year. But
Yep. That's where all the hopes are are built on
But
draft
hey,
day.
you guys are number one, so like Caleb Williams is the guy. So let's
Yeah,
see.
I'm definitely enjoying this moment. As it is, even before we had a first round pick last year, right before we traded it, I always wondered what it would be like to be one of those teams to have the first overall pick, and then to
Right.
have the first overall pick this year and not be the suckiest team in the NFL. I mean, that doesn't get any better,
It's a
right?
you guys won last year and this year's draft hands down
Yeah.
compared to the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, definitely, man. They're for them. I would hate to be a Panthers fan.
But what's sad is that it seems like their owner is becoming a Jerry Jones, right? Like it's like, well,
He
I want to do what I want to do. And I'm like, bro, like you had
his way or no way,
yeah, and
for
you had a
sure.
solidified franchise for how long? Like Cam Newton and Ron Rivera, like they built a foundation there. And then and then Fox, he even he went to the Super Bowl too. Like, you know what I mean? There's been some good Panthers teams, and then now it's just like, well, let's just screw it all up because I want to do what I want to do. It's like, no, bro, like just hire a GM, let them do what they got to do. Like I would, man, if he called me one day, he's like, bro, like come be the NFL GM, I won't do it. Like I'll just sit back and watch. I'm like, bro, like yeah, let's do it because the Panthers is great, great area. Carolina, North Carolina. You got, I think they're in Charlotte. So I mean, like
Mhm.
they got beautiful areas and they got great uniforms. They got a great stadium. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like you can build a great foundation there, but they're not. So we'll
Time will
see.
tell.
Well, hopefully the Panthers they don't even so they don't have a pick to what round two.
They'll be 30. Yeah, they'll be 30, 33. So
Well, at
they'll
least
get the first
they'll
pick.
be right there. They're gonna take another quarterback probably, but yeah, hopefully though. You know what? Troy Franklin's there, right? And from Oregon, he's still on the clock on ours. Like I would definitely grab him if I was him. Like we need help for our offense to help Bryce Young.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be good.
but yeah, I might. Man, this is so cool. And then Malik Neighbors, like to the Chargers. I mean that's flash with flash, right? So that'd be a good thing.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
Chargers fans were upset about Keenan Allen last week. So if they were to get a Malik Neighbors, I think they would quickly forget
Oh yeah,
about that.
I would be depressed too. Like I love Keenan Allen. Like back then when I was still playing Madden, like when he was a young wide receiver, like if he became a free agent, I'm picking him up right away because of his height, his girth. Like I mean, he can jump up and get it. So
Yep.
definitely win for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, right? So you got DJ Moore and now Keenan Allen with the young quarterback. That's going to help him so much.
Yeah. Hopefully everything plays out the way it is on paper, right? I just hope that the production happens. There's no surprises with Caleb Williams' projection and production. So, I mean, right now it's like probably the best situation for any rookie quarterback to ever, take a step into. So it's going to be fun. And I
Yeah,
hope
and
everything works
plus
out for the Bears.
yeah, and he doesn't have to follow any legacy, which is even better. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
that's what's key in a lot of parts. Staubach, like Danny White had to follow Staubach. Romo had to follow Aikman. You know what I mean? Like when you grab that legacy, it's like, damn, you that monkey. And then like if your franchise doesn't help you and build a defense or build a whole team around you, that monkey's gonna be on you, pounding you the whole time. And
Yeah.
like Caleb, he's coming in, no legacy, right? Like you haven't had a legacy quarterback technically since '85. That's only because he was a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Like it was the defense that won, like that defense was amazing. And of course, Walter Payton. But yeah, like he can just come in, like be him and do his thing, and you don't have to have a Brady like legacy or whatever, like Mac Jones had. And like it's like you said, it's a great thing for him to come in with a fresh set of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the best position to be in
Right.
for
I agree.
sure.
But man, I'm stoked. So, anything else, Danny Ramirez?
Nope, not for me. Just can't wait for next Wednesday to do the another live stream.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah, me neither. This is so
it
fun. Yeah, please, hopefully
it
we
was
get more
smooth.
followers and more feedback.
We will, we will. It was a smooth process. I didn't know what to expect. This is our first live stream ever. But no, I mean everything worked perfect. So we'll definitely continue to go live. And connect with our viewers. and
Yeah,
go from there.
honestly, live is the way, right? Especially if we're gonna do something
Yeah.
like this, right? So man, this was so cool. And like the fact that we flew like 2 hours and we flew to like Thraw 32, like that was pretty wild.
Yeah. Good dialogue for sure.
Yes, man, good stuff, man. We've been at this for a long time, me and you, and we've done it in our backyards, but now we're finally doing it for the world. So this is cool.
Yeah. Good times
Yeah.
for sure. It's been a memorable
Oh,
year.
Gabe, Dave, all of y'all, if y'all still watching, Danny and I plan to get together draft day one. So if y'all want to hang out, let us know.
We'll
Oh yeah,
share those
speaking of that,
details.
since we're talking about it on it, so draft day one, give us a little bit of time after the draft ends, and then we'll go live and we'll talk about what we were right, what we were wrong, what surprises fell, and like if our teams won or lost, and yeah, be ready for April 25th for sure. After the draft.
Gonna be fun. Thanks, Gabe.
All right. So again, the Sun City Leatherheads podcast coming to you, episode 4 live. We did a great job today. Thank you for everyone who chimed in, who followed, who liked, who's viewing. Coming to you from El Paso, Texas, the Sun City nickname. Danny Ramirez, anything else?
Nope. Talk to you all next week.
All right. Sounds
Look forward
good.
to it.
Y'all, God bless. Have a good one.
Peace.